So I'm Becky Barker, and I have been working on the Victorian Rural Women's Network within Agriculture Victoria for about 2 years now. And when I came into this, I was quite green with regards to website design. I had worked on a big health organisation's website, doing quite a bit of stakeholder consultation, but I hadn't sort of got down to using a lot of the tools. But over the last 2 years, the network's given me a big opportunity to do that, and it's been really fantastic going to the boot camps every year and just, you know, regularly touching base with the other COPs. They've really helped me along the way to give me some ideas on how to increase the reach for the network. Obviously been working to develop our website, but we also have a Facebook and Twitter pages. So that's our key digital platforms. And with the website, I've been working with Gavin and Dennis to help sort of develop that and bring more people to the website, bring more traffic through. We work through 3 different streams: events, communications, and a leadership program, which has 4 partners. And so we wanted to also reflect this on our website. So you'll see when you go into our website that those 3 boxes are at the top, because it takes people through exactly what we do straight away. And also have our overarching value proposition bang right up the top so that people know exactly what we're all about. So today I just wanted to give you like an overview of what the network does, and sort of run through 5 points. And these points are sort of around the first sort of strategic work that we did to make sure that we identified our audience and we're completely clear about the purpose of the network. Also just some tools that I've been using, and some ideas around timing and measuring your analytics and things like that. So first of all, I've sort of explained what we do. We work through events, communications, and leadership. We're a network for Victorian rural women, and we exist to inspire, resource, connect rural women across the state. And we do that through events. So for example, we did our Rural Women's Forum in 2018, a Country Cuppers event, which connected women face-to-face at about 32 different venues around the state last year. We did that on International Day of Rural Women. And we also do a quarterly newsletter, an annual magazine, obviously our digital platforms, and the leadership program. At the moment, we're tracking, I think it's around 50,000 page views since since the network launched, and I think we've got just over 17,000 users. And the way that we've pushed those numbers is, for example, when we've had key events, we've done a strategic Facebook boosting campaign, which has been really successful, and I can give you some numbers on that a bit later. But we always try to push all of our traffic through to the website. So for example, we're actually working on a virtual Country Cuppers event, hopefully happening at the end of May. And so we will do a paid Facebook campaign, and we'll have a link in that to our website. So all the traffic that comes through to that event will also then get pushed through onto our website. We found the Facebook boosting to be really quite a successful tool. And for example, I think when we did the original Country Cuppers event, we had organic traffic of our reach was about 4,000. But that was boosted to, I think, you know, over 20,000 with a 4-week Facebook campaign. So the first things first, we did some careful stakeholder mapping to identify our audience. So we did, I'm sure some of you will be aware of this, but we did an avatars, an avatars brainstorming session, and we managed to identify 6 different audiences. Our audience is really broad, so it can be quite difficult sometimes with our messaging, and that has helped us really drill down what, you know, who our audience is, what they want to read, what catches their attention with regards to our Facebook and Twitter posts. and also what we put up on the website. Then we also have a reference group of 18 rural women, and they helped us really drill down into what our value proposition is, and that's right at the top of our page. Immediately when you get onto the page, you see Victorian rural women are stronger through connection, because that connection thing is so key for us, and it's a big theme through everything that we do. So we also do comms, very detailed comms plans. So we'll do one right at the beginning of the year, but we'll also do breakout comms plans for the different activities that we do. And that really helps us identify our audiences, both internal and external. And I find that really helps to identify every, to capture every audience that you can. And we also make sure that we get the messaging really bang on for each event or initiative that we're doing. I'm going to give you a few tips now. So obviously, I'm sure you all know about this one, but just regular, fresh, targeted content, updating your website regularly. So for example, we have our quarterly newsletter and all of our stories are uploaded onto that. And then, we keep driving people back to that. So we send out a campaign monitor newsletter, and that just gives the first few sentences of each story, and then you click on a link and it takes you to each of the different separate stories on the website. So obviously maximizing your channels, using multiple channels for different reasons, that all sort of linking back to the website. It doesn't necessarily have to be new content, but you can obviously share other people's content that might be relevant to the themes that you've found are important to your audience. The posts that we tend to get the most engagement on tend to be around women, around people. Women like to have that connection with other women. They want to see other women inspiring them. They're looking to get mentors. So for our particular audience, that's what they like to see. And they also really like videos. So any kind of graphics or videos or interactive content is also really popular. So our digital strategy going forwards includes trying to boost more videos, and also to try and capture more of a younger audience. So we're looking at the themes throughout our content. We're trying to capture what young people are thinking and wanting, particularly young rural women. I think a really good thing to do is, I don't know if anyone has seen that Simon Sinek's TED talk on your why. And I know it's been talked about time and time again, but I think it's a really good one to revisit, because it just really helps you identify exactly what you're all about, and that will help you narrow down on what you need to say in each different communication, on each different platform to which different audience. Another thing that's really important, another tip from me today, is about timing. So whenever you're delivering your communications, you really need to be thinking about the timing of when it's happening. Is that going to suit your audience? For example, I'm not going to hold a webinar on a Sunday afternoon when rural women are trying to juggle, children, dinner, work on the farm, whatever. It needs to be a time that's going to suit them all. So with this Country Covers event, we've got to have a really big think about when's going to be the best time for everyone, particularly when you've got a big audience, because people like to do things at different times. And then obviously measure, track everything, analytics. I must admit that's probably my weakest point, just mostly due to lack of time. But it is really, really helpful just to see, go through your Facebook insights to see, they're performing the best, at what time they're performing the best, and then you can really narrow down on what, how you're going to reach people the best way. We don't actually use the Ask an Expert function on our website, because we actually have a reference group of women who help shape what we do. But I think, for every different COP, you might have a much bigger reason to use it, but for us, we don't particularly use it. I think that's probably about it from me. If anyone's got any questions, or if you want to put anything in the chat box, just let me know.
Thank you very much,
anyone's interested
Becky.
in Facebook campaigns as well, I'm happy to talk further offline about that.
Thank you very much, Becky, for sharing your experience. Any questions or comments from anybody at this stage? I'll just ask one question, and it's not really deliberately trying to be a Dorothy Dixer, but what do you think you've changed over the last 3 or 4 weeks that we've been in isolation in Victoria? So what has been your emphasis, Becky?
This has pretty much been our work for the last month. So it kind of actually started before this because after the bushfires, we needed to rethink how we were going to roll out our communications. But we've actually I've updated our comms plan to incorporate what women want now. But the main thing we did was we did a brainstorm in our team to think about what do rural women want right now, what do they want in 3 months, and what will they be wanting, in the second half of the year. And that's helped us really narrow down what we need to deliver over the next months. I also did quite a bit of stakeholder consultation. So I personally rang over 30 of my key stakeholders because at this time, people I think are finding it easier. They want connection. We're physically distancing. They want to talk to people. So I think getting on the phone is really helpful because, I've got some stories out of that for the next newsletter as well. And I've also found out what rural women want over the next 3 or 4 months. We're now engaging with the Minister's Office to roll out an event at the end of May as a result of that.
Fabulous, Becky. And yeah, you're getting some accolades in the chat box as well. So, any questions though for Becky at this stage about any of the strategies they've used? They actually did a Facebook, which was interesting, and I think I circulated on the leaders' Facebook page. But you did the survey, Becky, where you just asked people to comment, which was simple but innovative.
Yeah, so that was part of the stakeholder consultation that we did. So it's a bit of a backstory to that, actually. The minister put an email out, and because women were literally in crisis at that moment, they weren't ready to speak, really. So we only had about 7 or 8 responses. So we supplemented the stakeholder consultation by doing those polls and also ringing people and emailing over 30 people. And then we got back from responses. So, yeah. It was tricky because we had to get the permission to do the polls because no one had I hadn't seen anyone do them within the department because there's issues with privacy. But I've been through all the hoops, and you literally just have to put the privacy link in your Facebook poll, and then you can go ahead with it and get people to comment below.
Thank you, Becky. And if you pop to the Facebook page of the Rural Women's Network, you'll see all those different little bits of innovation Becky's been doing.
Hey, Gavin, it's Nikki. Could I just ask Becky a question?
Absolutely.
Is it okay? Oh, thanks. Becky, sitting here in, the middle of suburbia is a very different scenario, I guess, to what it would be if I was in somewhere in regional Victoria. And I'm just wondering, the whole coronavirus thing, I think, has really impacted, where there's a lot of people. But I'm wondering if you're in a regional area or if you're on a farm, if it's sort of, if it's a different experience, like if you've picked up that women are, they're always in a way socially isolated. So they're sort of probably experiencing the whole thing quite differently. I'm just wondering if it's a bit more surreal for them, because like for me sitting here watching out my window, it's like being in, I don't know if you remember the movie The Truman Show, but it's like being in that, because there's just people walking up and down the street non-stop because no one can go anywhere. So we've got a much more sort of localized community feel happening in Melbourne. But I'm just wondering if, like, in rural communities, have you seen that same sort of thing transpire?
Look, I think our audience is so broad that it's very different for the different groups. I mean, we've got our agricultural women who are really used to being remote, and it's hardly changed for them, although they have had issues apparently getting produce from various supermarkets. And that information they wanted fed back to the minister. But we also have our non-agricultural, so that's like teachers, health providers, creatives, lots of other different types of women. So it is very different. But I think, the feedback's been generally that at this particular moment in time, rural women feel overwhelmed. They're trying to juggle so many different things. They've got pressures on them. Their partner may have lost their job. They're trying to homeschool their children. So doing an event immediately wasn't going to work because women just didn't have the capacity for it. So we've pushed it back a bit. So we're hoping to run the event at the end of May. And we're hoping by then women, you know, they really are going to feel like the physical distancing is kicking in and they really want to reconnect with their friends and colleagues.
Yeah, okay. Oh, thank you. That's really interesting. I think because it's sort of gone from drought to bushfires to coronavirus. So I think they've been a bit slammed, haven't they? Yeah. Thanks, Becky.
And Tim's put a comment in there about, you know, the business as usual on the farm. Any other questions before we hear from Dennis? Well, thank you very much, Becky, on behalf of us all for putting that together and sharing your insights. That's really very much appreciated. And what extensionAUS is all about. So good luck with it all and good luck with May.
Thanks. Just a quick plug, if anyone's happy to promote it across their platforms, we'd be very happy.
Shall do so.